What's going on, guys? Seth and Chevy here, and we just watched Jujutsu Kaisen Season 1. This is my first time watching through it. This is your second time watching through it.
Yep.
And, yeah, neither of us have read the manga.
Nope.
So we're not coming from that. We're coming straight from the anime. We did kind of watch it over time. We didn't, binge through it. So I'm going to try and do this as best as I can. But I'll start because this is my first time watching the show. This was interesting to watch because I've been kind of watching this alongside watching Chainsaw Man, and these are both Mappa, and obviously one's older than the other one. So it's been really interesting to watch two of their shows at once because there's a lot of things that are similar outside of the stories are different, the art styles are different, but like the animation you can kind of see how it's evolved. But they're really good at combat in their animation. One thing I'm seeing between both of them, and so in this one, the first thing that kind of stands out is a lot of the combat in this is like close quarters, hand-to-hand stuff, which is a lot of fun to watch. I think that's probably one of my favorite things about Jujutsu Kaisen so far is it's not just a bunch of people using like energy moves, teleportation move type stuff. I mean, Gojo does all that kind of stuff, but he's like essentially fucking god. But everybody else is like doing like a lot of like hand-to-hand combat, melee weapon combat. There's a chick with a gun at one point, but even then it's like she's not that far away. There's one time she shoots someone through the woods pretty well. But it's really, really interesting to see how they do it. The animation is really good though, the way that they choreograph it, which I really dig. Also, the tone of the show I like because it's got a darker vibe to it. But it's also kind of bizarre feeling, which I really dig. I feel like the show started off really strong for me in the very beginning when it got into the Goodwill event. I thought it was like it wasn't bad, but it was like okay. I feel like kind of slowed down in its momentum, and then towards the end when it was like Yuji and Toto working together, it started getting more interesting for me. And then the end got really interesting, even though I guess I was slightly confused on what the fuck happened there. But it's still pretty interesting. But the thing I really dig about the beginning, and I'd like to see it kind of return to that a little bit more, is the dynamic between Yuji, who's essentially just a really strong dude. He's just running punching things really hard. And having essentially the villain of the show in him. I think it's a really cool dynamic. I think it's neat to see the protagonist trying to defeat all these curses or whatever, and having a dude who's completely against him kind of coexisting with him. Not by choice, obviously, but there's a really cool dynamic that sometimes is beneficial to him. Sometimes he'll be fighting somebody who does something Sukuna doesn't like, and then he'll, like, that one dude he warns. He's like, don't fucking touch me.
Yeah, when Mahito uses his domain.
Yeah.
And because the domain touches everything about you, he was like, no.
Yeah. And then he does it a second time, and he instantly just fucking punishes him.
Yeah.
Like, he's just not having it. That kind of stuff, like, that's some of my favorite stuff of this show, though, is when we get to play around with that. It's a really cool dynamic. It's a really cool thing for the main character to have to deal with. And I think Sukuna is actually a pretty cool villain. And paired with Yuji, it's really cool. So that's really cool. Also, the more like hunting down the curses, investigating stuff was a lot of fun in the beginning as well. All the scenes with Gojo are great. I mean, he's just supposed to be likable. Every time I hear somebody say Gojo's cool, I'm like, he's supposed to be. Like the show starts, he shows up, and I'm like, oh, so he's just like the cool dude.
Yeah.
Of course.
Even his posture.
Everything about him.
Yeah.
He's just like super cool. Nothing fucking phases him. Even when they have the barrier up and he touches, like, oh shit. He's like, I guess you guys got to go in there. Then later he just fucking blows through it anyway, so it doesn't even matter. But
once he figured it out.
Yeah. But yeah, super likable character. Plus, he looks cool, so it's like everything about him is just like OP. But and that movie does when that dude's running and he fucking shoots that energy thing, and it shows like over the head, like the purple beam just ripping through the forest.
Yeah.
I'm like, this motherfucker is like scary.
Yeah.
And once he takes the fucking blindfold off, dude, it's over.
Well, and it's funny too, because like even when they're having that discussion in the restaurant with all the special curses, and Joe goes like, "I'll just fucking fight him," and the other guy's like, "Yeah, you won't."
Yeah.
So like everyone knows like you need a trick to kill this guy.
Well, it's interesting too because ever since that scene throughout the show, they're kind of like plotting a war against these people, but they realize they gotta take out Gojo.
Or at least like scoot him away for a
Yeah,
little bit.
they gotta do something about him because he's such a big problem for them.
Yeah.
Even in the beginning when Sukuna comes out for a second and he's checking if Yuji can control that or whatever, they end up like fighting for a second, and he's like, I'm in front of my student, like I can't.
I gotta show off.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, let me show off a little of my students here.
Exactly. So yeah, anyway, that's a lot of fun. Yeah, I've been a little critical of the Goodwill event. I thought it was fun, but it kind of felt like, I don't want to say filler, because it's definitely like trying to push a lot of characters on you at once and kind of like explain them. But I felt like it went on a while, even though it wasn't that long, I guess. But it's just a lot of them just like running through the woods, like talking about like, oh, are you trying to kill Yuji? Yeah, we're trying to kill Yuji. Blah blah blah
also
blah.
Explaining every single character's abilities.
Every single character and showing off like cool fight scenes. I'm not even complaining about that. It was cool, but like when I just got all this cool stuff about like the world, the lore, the character building, the problem with Sukuna, finding out about Mahito and all these like special grade curses, we take this time to kind of get to know all like a shitload of characters at once, and it just was like a lot to take on. But there's some pretty cool fight scenes. I don't know how I feel about Ultimate Mechamaru. That guy's kind of weird. But even when his robot got destroyed, it was kind of interesting to find out that he's just like off chilling somewhere. The show's got a lot of imagination when it comes to its characters.
Oh yeah.
There's a panda, and
a doll. But
yeah, I know. But it's like just like his design is just a fucking panda.
Yeah.
That turns into some wild shit because essentially he has 3 different souls, at once, and so when one gets defeated, other ones take over and shit.
And he can switch at will,
which was interesting. But like, I'm just like, he's a panda. Although I liked his flashback when he was like a smaller panda and he was being trained or whatever. That was a lot of fun.
I like his little fucking brass knuckle things, whatever they're called. So
yeah, I don't know. And that kind of reminded me too of like early on when Yuji's being like trained and he's watching movies and he's got that fucking stupid like bear doll thing that like would wake up and start punching him.
Yeah,
shit's ridiculous. I hate Mahito. The dude's like a creep. He annoys the fuck out of me every time he shows up because he just stirs the pot. Him fighting Nanami was cool. Later, when it was him versus Nanami and Yuji, that was a really cool fight.
That was really good. Yeah.
Especially a lot of the emotion coming out of Yuji was, had some weight to it, which I really enjoyed. I don't know why. Like typically in anime, like the villains, I'm like I think Sukuna's cool, but like Mahito shows up, I'm like, this motherfucker. And then fucking Hanami, the very weird plant-based curse. That one annoys the shit out of me too, although I think the design's pretty neat, like what they're able to do. Mm-hmm. And then Jogo's just like a little volcano head guy.
Yeah, who's always like pissed off.
Yeah, even though what they do in the restaurant was really fucked up.
Yeah, that was pretty dark.
Yeah. No, it is like the curses are definitely bad.
Yeah.
There's no questioning of like, well, should you really kill? Like, no, you got to kill all these motherfuckers. Yeah, they're dangerous as shit. So at least they kind of set that up early. Like, these guys are not good.
Yeah.
They're shitty. So I just think the design's interesting with Jogo because he's just a little old man type dude with a fucking volcano for a head. It's so weird. Yeah. So for the most part, animation's great. The visual style is good. I like the character designs for the most part. I think Yuji looks like he's stressed for Kingdom Hearts. Um, my I think one of my biggest problems with the show, and I don't think it's actually this. I don't think this is an actual problem. I think I just haven't had enough time with the characters. There's so many characters have been introduced to me that I only like a couple of them, which I feel like I shouldn't be in that boat. For instance, not to bring it up again, but like we just reviewed Chainsaw Man episode 7, and I like every single character they've shown off. Now they haven't introduced as many characters as this show has, and we're only 7 episodes into it. But I'm not having that conflict. Whereas in this, there's characters I like for sure. I think Yuji's a cool main character. I think Gojo's dope as shit. Obviously, I think that Toge kid is pretty neat. The one who can't talk.
His power's OP.
Yeah, he's a pretty interesting character. I think Toto's awesome. He's fucking stupid. Like how delusional he is, how much he's into idols, all that stuff. That's a lot of fun. I feel like I should like Nanami more than I do, but I do like him. I like that he's kind of like more stern, kind of like uptight about stuff, but also I don't feel like we've really explored his character a whole lot. And then the biggest thing I have a problem with is like I don't care about Nobara, Kugisaki, or Megumi Fushiguro, which really sucks because they're like there. I mean, towards the end, I think I started liking Megumi more. But like for a lot of the show, he was just kind of like there giving exposition and like running away a lot, and like his animals just getting murdered left and right. And I felt like he's just being punished nonstop. You don't really have like any like really great scenes until towards the end, where he feels like he's starting to get more actualized.
I think, kind of go into mine a little bit here.
Mm-hmm.
When I think a lot of that's kind of important though, because when Sukuna meets him and even tells him, he's like, you're holding back way too much.
Yeah.
Like,
it's definitely an arc for sure, but as of right now in this season,
for sure. And I also don't think we have had a lot of like intimate time with basically his two side cast characters with him. Like they're going to be the main 3, I assume. The rest of the school will have their moments too.
Well, we spent more time with Toto than
the panda.
Yeah, it's really weird.
But I do think, especially with like the last like 2 episodes, when we got to see like, cool brain, please, Nobara just kind of like actually like unleash and fight and stuff like that. We got to see it a little bit with Megumi as well, but that was more of like a mental, like just like I have to say fuck it, and then he was able to overcome finally, which was nice. But with her, like, she's only really done the nail thing a lot, and in this, we actually got to see like strategy behind it, where she's like, "Oh, you're touching me. Well, my nails can now, do what they need to do, and I don't have to be close to you now." So
yeah, it's funny because like a lot of her fight scenes, I think she's been really cool. I think her ability is really neat, and I think she's been super useful during fights. It's just like the personal aspect of it. She hasn't really been explored a whole lot in that sense of like no one's buddy with her, so it's just like she's just kind of there, always kind of looking upset about shit, but not in like a charming way. But like in the fight scenes, she's awesome. But I feel like a lot of the characters they do a really good job on like anyone can show up, and like I don't know if it's just like the writing or like Mappa, but like they're able to convey everyone as like a badass.
Yeah, for sure.
But you know what I'm saying with these characters? Like, I feel I'm not even saying.
I just don't think we've had enough time with them.
That's my point. Is like I'm not even saying that they're necessarily like bad characters. I feel I'm just saying that the sheer volume of characters in such a small window has made it hard to get to know them. Though some have worked for me. So
yeah. No, I can see where you're coming from for sure. And I would agree. On the large scale, there are so many characters having like close like favorites basically is going to be a little harder versus like I can have initial favorites based off like design and ideas and stuff. But yeah, we've gotten so little. It's one season and a ton of characters. So it's going to take some time with some of these characters versus like obviously we see Yuji a lot, so we get to know him a little more intimately. Even with like Sukuna, we spent a lot of time with him. Hell, even Mahito and all the special grades we spend pretty decent amount of time with them, so we get a better idea.
Mahito a lot. Like he's like a main character.
Yeah, well, and even like when they're fighting Hanami, that there's a lot of dialogue that's happening during that fight, and so we get a lot to know about them as well. So, but
yeah. So somebody's watched the show twice now. What are your overall impressions of this season?
I love the themes that the show offers. I think the curse idea is pretty neat. Obviously, it's kind of like a play, like demons, devils, curses. Like they all kind of fit into like a similar bubble almost. But I like the idea of the curses. So far, everybody has had a really interesting ability, which is impressive, having this many characters and having that many abilities that come off pretty unique. I like the idea of the domain expansion because it's kind of like this trump card, but you're confined to an area.
It's like every character has their own arena.
You get
where they have the edge.
Yeah, you don't get to miss anymore.
Yeah,
it's obviously not perfect, but you're probably not going to lose if you suck someone into your domain. So, which is kind of an interesting idea. I do wonder how they'll expand upon that, obviously, as we've only gotten like small tastes of it, and we did see specifically with like Mahito having a very like immature domain expansion, how that going against someone as strong as like Sukuna basically ruined that. We also saw that it's really easy to break into one, but it's hard to break out of one, which was a good detail to have as well. As far as even like the main cast goes too, like Yuji is a pretty typical character, which I don't really like. That's not a complaint. I do like that he's mostly just a hand-to-hand dude, especially with a show that spends a lot of time with close quarters combat. It should make for some pretty cool fights in the future, because we usually get shows just talking about anime in general where people are using weapons or magic or something, and he's just straight up just punching things. So and not in like a DBZ fashion where it's a bunch of blurred fists. It's actually like choreographed. So
yeah, there's a lot of fight scenes where it's all step by step, like this punch, this maneuver, and it's animated in a way that like it's not like just kind of flashing right in front of you. Like you're actually like watching it happen. Especially that fight with Yuji and Toto versus Hanami. There's a lot of dialogue and strategizing of what was happening there, especially when I started doing this clap thing or whatever. But like, even like earlier fights,
very creative.
It was a lot of fun. But because Yuji's punching, it is a lot of just like him just punching people in their head and punching them like wherever, while they're trying to do like their moves and stuff. And it's I don't know, it seems so simple, but I think it's really well done.
Yeah, well, and it's gonna allow obviously for like more choreographed fights. Brain, please. Megami, I think it has interesting stuff too, with like basically having a pocket full of summons, how it goes or whatever. I love that, especially towards the end where he starts actually utilizing it more, where he's just like throwing them out and bringing them back in like constantly. I was like, oh, they can actually like do something more than just like, okay, it's gonna be the bird's turn for this whole episode type of deal. So
didn't they say though that when he loses one it's dead?
Because they just disappear or whatever. Though it did,
because in the beginning he has two dogs and one of them
they merged, which was kind of
it's like its soul goes to the next one, makes it more powerful or something. I think Kugisaki or Nobara's ability is interesting. I am curious to see how that expands as she develops, because it does seem like it'll get old fast if she's just hitting nails at people. So, but I am curious to see, like I said, I don't doubt they'll have some creative stuff for that in the future. But right now, like, it's cool, but we'll get old fast, I think, if it just stays that way.
I loved watching Maki fight because she just uses a shit ton of melee weapons. She has no cursed energy.
Yeah, she doesn't have any abilities. She just uses cursed weapons really proficiently.
Yeah, so I actually find her to be a very interesting side character because of the fact that like she's just skilled. That's just all it is.
And it was like super creative too to like remember that she's using cursed weapons when Todo was doing his teleporting clap thing, because he teleports Yuji where the weapon was, and he takes the weapon and uses it.
Yeah.
And Yuji's looking around like, who the hell did I switch spots with? Because he doesn't even know what the hell's happening. I thought that was really creative.
Yeah. We already talked about Toge a little bit, but the speech thing is very overpowered. I'm glad to see that he can't just keep doing it and his throat will blow out.
Yeah, there's a pretty quick limit to it.
Yeah, because that would that'd be hard to combat against after if he could just keep doing it.
Yeah, I think they use it well too, because most of the time he just kind of says random things, random food things or whatever, and like
something that can actually like affect you.
Yeah. And so like that just becomes kind of like a funny thing over time, but then when shit gets serious, he has to choose if he's actually going to use his voice or not. When he does, it's super powerful, but it also fucks him up pretty quickly. So that is one of those situations where like, you know, he's got to be very careful when he chooses to use it, because it's both powerful but also detrimental to himself.
Yeah, it's like when he first shows up and he just like says run away to the two of them. They don't even have a chance to question it. They just start running because he commanded them to, basically.
Yeah. Yeah, he essentially has that voice from fucking Dune.
I don't even remember.
Yeah, some witchcraft stuff in that.
Yeah. Other than that, yeah, Todo is fun because of the weird. His interests versus like who he is are so clashing, and it just makes for a very interesting character because he's basically a meathead.
Yeah.
But then he's obsessed with
he's just a big bro type character.
Yeah, but then he's obsessed with his one idol. Like
yeah, he's also crazy. Yeah.
Yeah, and then he makes up his past because Yuji's taste in women is interesting and not boring. So,
which is so stupid. It's such a stupid metric, but like it's just because he asked somebody else too, and like it just wasn't interesting enough for him.
Yes, Megami.
Yeah.
And he gives a boring answer, and so he beats the shit out of him for having a boring answer. So, yeah, he's a weird character, though. It makes for a good time. And then Miwa, though, I think is like a very like cool design character, and I love katanas. Her ability is basically like, if you're here, I swing instantly. So hopefully that's more interesting, or she's just not going to be like there all the time. Because right now I'm kind of unconvinced.
They didn't really like, she'd be there and she'd say a couple things, but most of the time she's just running around going like, oh no, like things aren't going well, and like I was like, is she supposed to be likable? Like what are you guys doing? So hopefully that's something they expand on in season 2, and that's kind of my biggest thing with this season is you know, the rules have been established, but I hope we can get some character depth in season 2.
Right. And then I remember before even watching the show seeing the panda.
Yeah.
I can't remember his name, sorry. But then when I watched in the intro he's like running on roofs and stuff like that, I was like, what the hell's up with this panda? And then it gets expanded and is actually super interesting, that it's basically a doll with multiple souls within him. It's pretty neat idea. His name's Panda.
Yeah. Yeah, when you say I couldn't remember his name, I'm like, isn't it Panda?
Apparently so.
Yeah.
So yeah, other than that, you know, a lot of the other characters out just in the school, the sorcerers. There we go. I mean, they're fine. I'm not like in love with any of them. Again, we didn't get a lot of time with any of them. Mm-hmm. I do have a couple favorites, and they're probably the ones everyone likes as well.
Which ones are your favorites?
Wayne Gojo is.
Yeah.
But he teeters a line for me because I actually really don't like OP characters in anime a lot of time.
Well, my whole thing is like, when are they going to kill him or trap him? Because there's no way he's just going to be around being OP nonstop. They got to get rid of him.
Or someone has to be like at his level at some point. Otherwise, it's going to get old.
Exactly. Because he's really cool, and it's super satisfying to. You always see in everything a villain show up, and they're just fucking super powerful.
Yeah.
You're just like, oh no, how are they gonna beat him? But it's so like satisfying too to like have the villain show up and you're like, oh shit, these guys are serious, they're fucking people up. And then Gojo shows up and it's like, oh cool, he's here, he'll take care of it.
Yeah,
and he does. But like, yeah, eventually it's just gonna be like, well, then what's the stakes?
Yeah, well, it's just like in like One Punch Man, for example. Like the interesting part about the series is all the characters other than Saitama, because they're having these real struggles and stuff like that. And then he shows up to clean it up. That's just it goes from like serious stuff happening to, okay, now it's time to basically parody the genre. We're gonna throw this guy in.
And there's a heavy emphasis on like comedy.
Yeah.
In One Punch Man. I only saw the first season, but I forgot the guy's name. But the guy on the bike, that shit was like,
Is it like
almost sad.
something writer?
Yeah.
I can't remember now. But he's like a real dude, like just trying to like do the job he signed up for.
And he's got the little kid like cheering him on and shit.
Yeah.
I'm like, this is fucking rough.
Well, even like, this isn't about One Punch Man, but like you know his fucking apprentice that he didn't ask for is insane to watch. They animate the shit out of that guy when he's fighting, and then Saitama's just like, you know, stares hard enough. He's like, I feel killing intent. I can't, you know, like I almost died just now. Like nothing happened. So, anyways,
I need to rewatch that.
you should, and then you can watch season 2.
I hear nothing but horrible things about.
It's not that bad. The animation's just not as good. But yeah, anyways, Gojo could become, because this isn't a parody anime in any sense. So
Exactly.
he's a very serious character. That could get boring for me. I know some people like that, but I need people to have challenges, otherwise it gets stale. But
Yeah.
so far I think it's a great first impression of an anime. They Mappa, you know, when it comes to combat, like you said, really shows off. I love it. The emphasis on like hand-to-hand combat in this anime is also a lot of fun.
Well, like they're like just the straight up animation itself is really well done, but also like their imagination and their ability to take ideas from page to screen is really well done as well. Like it's always satisfying. They're super talented in just the way that they do movement with a lot of things. I mean, even in Chainsaw Man, that one really shows it off a lot because of like a lot of the idle movements that are super well animated. But like in this, for sure, like a lot of the hand-to-hand stuff is just like really well done.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, I'm looking forward to season 2. It's coming out next year, so we will be sure to watch it. Unless you just decide you hate it. So
No, I definitely want to see more, and we are going to watch the movie Jujutsu Kaisen 0.
Which I have not seen.
You haven't seen it?
I have not seen.
Oh, I thought you had.
Nope.
Oh, cool. So that'll be a first time for both of us. That's just like a straight movie, so it'll be a little easier to review. This one we kind of watched over time, and I had to remember all the events and connect them all together again.
Typically shows aren't so front loaded like this, but
Yeah.
it is what it is.
Yeah, I mean, it's nice, though, because like we've done a couple reviews now, and a lot of them I'm just like, and all of them so far, I'll be like, I like it. But this one has decisions that were made in the way they did it that feel different in the sense of like how much they did offload into one season, which is interesting.
It also does have some very inconsistent pacing.
Yeah, it's a little everywhere, for sure, but still super enjoyable. And when it's good, it's really good.
Yes.
So
Yes, and a lot of creativity, which it's a huge reason I love anime to begin with, because the ideas that get kind of thrown into these, mangas that, and then get turned into visual spectacles that we get to enjoy, is literally why I watch the medium. So
yeah. But yeah, overall, a good start to the show. Definitely looking forward to season 2. I hope some of the things that I felt were a little lacking can be built up in season 2 better. Mostly just with the characters. Otherwise, I think the world, the story, and the visual style and everything is really good.
Also, hopefully, we get like one event to spend a season on, because that would have a little more gravity, I think, than a bunch of small events.
Or at least like 2 arcs is fine. Like halfway through, do something else. I don't care. But like this one had a lot of different things happening. A lot of like different independent little stories that were going on that it's fine, but they're tonally were like pretty different from each other, which I thought was really interesting. But it just kind of goes to show like how much there is to the story and how much there is to the lore that they have to do all of that in one season to get you up to speed on what's going on. So
yeah, and at least from what I've heard from the manga readers, the next arc is apparently pretty crazy. So looking forward to that.
I believe it, considering in this first season I saw a lot of really crazy shit. So I can only imagine it gets crazier, and I'm definitely looking forward to seeing Yuji and where he goes with his power, especially with his dynamic with Sukuna, as that's probably my favorite thing about this whole show so far is their dynamic. I think it's a really cool idea, and I hope to see more Toto in season 2 because he's definitely one of my favorite characters. So, and yeah, they got to figure out Gojo. I'm sure they will. There's no way that they're just gonna have just an OP dude nonstop, and nobody's gonna be happy if something bad happens to him. But I feel like it's almost necessary that it does because they're gonna have to even the playing field. So, and I feel like the unregistered special grades are plotting for a reason. So, yeah. So what would you grade the season 1?
Probably give it an A-. I really enjoyed it. I know when I watched it the first time, I didn't take very many breaks. I just kind of binged through the whole thing. So that's a good sign. I find it enjoyable. I do think the school arc was a little long, but had a lot of good stuff in it. I just think it probably could have been shortened a little bit.
Yeah, I agree with that.
That's probably my only actual like criticism. The rest of it's just I don't know enough yet. So.
Yeah, I'm teeter-tottering between a B+ and A- only for that reason. I feel like I don't want to say bloated because that sounds negative. I feel like there was some stuff that maybe could have been trimmed up a bit. But the ideas that are really good are really good. And the characters that work. And the animation style is really good. So I think I'm going to go with a really strong B+ for now. I think a lot of the things are definitely in the A territory, but for me, having so many characters without really being able to be attached to a lot of them is kind of hard for me. But yeah, the story's really cool, combat's really cool, and I definitely want season 2 to kind of get past the introductions and move towards something greater and some more precise story arcs. But yeah, overall I really liked it, and I can't wait to watch season 2, and I can't wait to watch the movie because like everyone says the movie's fucking great. So I think it's like a prequel or something.
I've seen a blip. Yeah, I'm pretty sure it has to do with Gojo.
Yeah.
I saw a little blip though of some of it animated, and it looked pretty cool. So
yeah,
that's as much as I know about it though.
I can't believe you haven't watched it.
I don't usually watch movies.
Yeah. Well, we'll watch that next, and we'll review that next. I'll probably grade it higher. I have a feeling I will, because everyone says it's like amazing. So, but yeah, anything else you want to say?
Nope.
All right, so A- and B+ overall good. Looking forward to season 2. Let us know in the comments what you guys think of Jujutsu Kaisen season 1. Please no spoilers from the manga. We have not read that, but say whatever the hell you want to say about season 1 as we have watched the whole thing. What do you think about it? What would you grade it? Who are some of your favorite characters? What are your favorite things about the show? Do you have any criticisms of the show so far? What are you hoping for in season 2? And yeah, let me know what you're thinking of in the comments below when it comes to Jujutsu Kaisen season 1. I've been Seth. This has been Chevy. Until next episode, have a good one, and we'll talk to you later.